Hello and welcome to another episode of Scot Talk with head coach Matt Scott. Talks some Fighting Scots football. Another PSAC West win, I guess historic win, I suppose. When you don't do something for 2 decades, it becomes historic. Scoring every quarter, coach. I mean, there's so many different ways to go here. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, and we're gonna do this a little bit differently. I want to let you sort of take the lead, because there's even in a monster win, there's still certainly some things to pick at. Finally ran the ball, scored in every quarter is huge. Conversion wise, what was your sort of biggest takeaway now that you've had a couple hours, couple days to digest the win over Cal on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just shouting out my offensive staff and our offensive players. You know, obviously IUP was a tough game for them, giving up a lot of sacks, leaving a lot of plays out there. And it could have went one or two ways there this week, and they just did a great job of making adjustments, doing things that our guys can be successful at, and they just attacked. I mean, it was a clinic. It was just a great, being able to run the ball, being able to throw the ball, doing a really, really good job there. There's a couple plays, obviously, here or there that you'd like to have back and clean up a little bit, and maybe you're even feeling even more, even feeling better about Saturday's win. But just really, really excited for our offensive staff and our offensive players to really kind of get it going. And really, I said it every week, and I'm sure everyone thought it was like, oh, this is just coach speak. But I just really felt that outbreak was ready. It was there. It was really just continuing to fine-tune what we're asking our guys to do, the type of schemes, and just putting them in the best position. And so you saw it from a game plan standpoint, a lot less dual and three reads there for the quarterback, and a lot more of just, hey, this is what we're doing. Let's run it. Hey, let's pull it out, move the pocket a little bit. So you just really saw an offense that was super comfortable, made it easy for them. And let those guys go out there and play and execute, and that was awesome. Defensively, I thought we played opportunistic. We did a great job holding tight and stopping them in the red zone and forcing some field goals there. Still not a really clean game from us. Too many big plays, busted coverages. We got to tackle better, run into the football better. But I was just happy with our guys standing up in some of those red zone situations where at times we'd been, butter through a knife and really just let me stop.
Let's talk about the play. I know that, Jeremiah Neely had the spectacular catch and the go ball on the sideline to France, and they were all fine and dandy. But the hold to the field goal try from 4th and inches, I believe it was J.T. Taylor and J.T. Wallach that combined on it. You talk about, stats are one thing, but that's winning football. And that only registers as one or a half a but that is literally the game. Kind of walks through that call, and what was that like for those guys coming off the field? Because that stop, I don't know if we're having the same conversation if they don't make that play.
Yeah, I mean, typically personnel-wise, that's not a front that we're going to be in personnel-wise. But, I was really thinking they were going dive again. They did it earlier in the game. So we went into our big goal line package. Not the best personnel-wise because we got Nate out there as one of their wide receivers. We should have been in a different package, but still with that same front. Spur of the moment, and that's where you kind of see the kids taking their next steps, that they can make adjustments, they can go out there and just play. And we really kind of sold out. Obviously, if they run the belly lock and they toss it to the running back, he probably walks it into the end zone. But sometimes you just got to go ahead and lock in and go all in on what you think is going to happen. And our kids just did a great job of not tapping out and just keep playing, and you never know what can happen. And, so it was a great play. If, again, I feel like, no disrespect to Cal and those guys, but I felt like all afternoon they were kind of playing not to lose instead of play to win. If I'm in that situation, we're going for it, and we're going to try to win that football game right then and there.
Now, I am going to ask, for the benefit of Fighting Scot Nation, you go for 2 early, which that's your thing apparently, right?
Yep.
You go for 2.
Yep.
Obviously, chasing points, struggled in the 2-point conversion game.
Yep.
Does that change who you are, or is that just is this the Matt Scott era?
No, I mean, again, I think I think being aggressive is definitely something that we're going to try to do. I mean, it stinks that the last 2 weeks we haven't hit on our 2-point play. So it makes you kind of chase your points a little bit. There's just a huge motivation factor, psychological factor, schematic factor, philosophy factor when you get 8-0 on the board. And so for me, it's that first score, being able to jump out and get the 2-point play is something that we always want to try to do. The play is there. I mean, I know everyone always wants to say, like, why would you do that? Would you do it again? They have 5 guys for our 8 guys that are over there on the left side. We have to throw a better ball, and we have to go and execute and get vertical in that spot. We watched the play today, and everyone's like, yeah, coach, we're doing the same thing again. So our kids believe in it. They understand it. They buy into it. We got to execute a little bit better. And again, that's 15 to 20 minutes that every defense that we play every week has to spend on model huddle. So, and then you got to prepare for everything else we do offense.
And that's why we affectionately call coaching the idiot business. Sometimes it works, you're the genius. When it doesn't, but I think a lot of people want it. I knew that was the answer that you're going to give. It's a math problem, and to your point, got to be a better ball execute. Yep. Speaking of the math problem, the run differential from your offense to your run defense, you have to be just ecstatic. And let's be honest. You're very quietly becoming statistically a very, very good run defense. What's changed? Is it just more? I mean, we talk about this every week. Is it just more and more reps with guys and just getting more familiar with the roles?
Yeah, and like the part that I know it's going to sound crazy, but the part that frustrates me the most is there's probably 35, 40 yards that we give up on misfit, day one errors, things like that. And it's like better tackling, better pursuit. So I still think we're just scratching the surface. I was really excited with how we did it because I thought their running backs were very good. I thought they were going to be tough to tackle and bring down, and they definitely still had plays out there. We were giving up so much access in the pass game that I'm sure they were probably like, well, we're just going to keep taking this instead of try to beat our head against the wall. So that helps a little bit statistically as well. We still have a long way to go to be a superior run defense, but it's good to see our guys starting to take those steps.
I think it's worth mentioning because it seemingly when they don't make the tackle, that's when it gets talked about. But the willingness for Kamar and Atkins to tackle as corners, most Hall of Fame corners don't have many tackles on their resume. Both of those guys are willing to come up and run support. That culture in the secondary, that's how you have a great run defense when everybody in the back end is willing to come tackle.
Yeah, no doubt. They're all continuing to get better. I think our corners have done a really good job of not being reckless. They see their keys blocked, they see their guys crack, and then they're ready to replace and go shoot and go get it. And so that's good to see because if they were just reckless running in there, not taking good angles, not containing and things like that, then you'd start getting taken advantage of in play action or things along those lines. So they're doing a really good job of just doing what the coverage is and what the defense is telling them to do, and so it's really good to see them have some success.
And to your run game, it was great to see Karan 10 for 121, 2 touchdowns. Jerry it was kind of a sort of seemingly reversed roles a little bit. Usually Jerry would be the lightning, Karan would be the thunder, but either way, 227 on the ground. We've toot your horn and talk about it because we've spent so much time sort of picking at that. What was different? You've been telling us for weeks it's coming. What was the big difference on the ground this past Saturday?
Yeah, I think some of it really was, Coach Griff really telling them like, hey, listen, like, because again, everything for us is count the box, count the box, count the box. And sometimes when you're always just counting the box and you throw it out there and it's not a great throw, it could have been a 4-yard gain, a 5-yard gain, and now it's 2nd and 10. And so there was a lot more of just, hey, we're calling counter, hey, we're calling duo, and we're going to run it, and we're getting in there. And I thought our running backs have done a very good job of getting out of the jump cuts early at the line of scrimmage. They're saving the jump cut for the second level. Get downhill, go hit it right now. You saw them do a really, really good job of that, taking the coaching, taking to what Coach Gluss has been telling them. So that was really good to see them have that success and click. And then obviously our offensive line they were mauling. They were pushing people out of the way. They were getting in way of people. I thought Jeremiah Neely and Clayton Beazon did a really good job in blocking as well in what we asked them to do. So it was definitely a unit performance for sure. And now that we got to build on it. Now we got to stack that performance this weekend.
That offensive line, Dylan McWilliams, D-Mac will join us when we come back. It's Scot Talk with Matt Scott. We're live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. A big win, 35-29, 2004, the last time the Fighting Scots took care of the Vulcans. We, of course, will turn the page to, this is weird, but we're still filling the Mercyhurst gap for the time being. Back out of non-conference at Fairmont State up next when Coach Scott joins us. But Dylan McWilliams, when we return, it's Scot Talk with Matt Scott. More with right after this. Welcome back to Scot Talk with Matt Scott. Joe Lodanosky with you as we're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Dylan McWilliams, D-Mac. I got to start with this. I don't know if you know this, but I believe for the first time in my career, at least here, it was yourself, Lasado, Crooms, Cam, Jadon, the offensive line, won the Meadville Medical Center Player of the Game. On a variety of levels, let's be honest, you've been playing football your whole life. You knew that the performance against Indiana was not going to cut it. What was last week like in preparation? What was different? I think you should do it again. But what was the difference between 1 week to the next? And, again, that was one of the better performances that I've seen out of you guys in a really, really long time.
Yeah, so coming off of IUP, we just knew that game was not us. That's not what we're about. So coming into the week against Cal, we really just put our heads down. We completely trusted in what the whole offensive staff had set up for us. And we knew that if we stick to that plan and we really work how we know that we can, then we're going to have a game like this. And this is something that we're going to, and we want to carry on into this week coming up. And it's really just we were ready for this breakout game to just put our heads down and do what we can do.
And, it is still October. To use the old baseball adage, momentum is only as important as the next starting pitcher. So when you talk about to carry that over, you got to do it. I mean, the offense, anybody that's ever watched football, it is virtually impossible to be any good without balance. You have to be able to run the football. I don't care if you're running the football to set up the pass, your pass to set up the, but you have to find balance. It was beautiful football. It really truly was. Obviously we can't get too deep in the weeds. Coach Scott be mad at us giving away the game plan, but how do you build off of that for you as an individual and then you as a position group? Because you got to get better each and every week. Each and every week, the games are going to start to mean more and more. It's a log jam in the West with the standings. But how do you make sure you carry that momentum from not only this past week to next week, but the following week?
Yeah, so coming off a game like we had, I think it's a big thing that as a whole O-line group especially, we're never satisfied with our game. So we have a great game, but there's always more that we're trying to get now. So we have one great game, we want to make it two. We want to make it three great games. We just want to keep building off of what we had. And, we have no other option but to keep going. And I think that we will continue to do that. And it goes with just keep trusting in our offensive staff, and we got to trust them that they're going to set us up with what we need to do and that we will be successful in our offense as a whole, not just the run game, but the pass as well.
Now, I know how excited your family was with the whole captain deal. I talked to your mom before the East Stroudsburg game. Again, you've been playing football. You know that what the lead up was not been good enough. And I shouldn't say maybe not good, but not consistent enough. You need to play more consistent. Your role as a leader on this team, what sort of individual responsibility, not only are you a leader of the team, but specifically you're a leader of the O-line. Individually, what did you sort of do to kind of get the guys together to say, hey, man, we're too good to play the way that, that inconsistently? Because, again, we even talked about it in the broadcast. You seemingly ran the ball in chunks against everybody, but then it would kind of go away. Saturday was the first time you really put a hat on a hat and pushed people around for 60 minutes. What did you say to the guys to get the turnaround?
Well, not just myself, but we all take pride in everything that we do. So we all came together as an offense, and we were all in agreement that these past weeks, that's still, even the good ones, but especially the bad, that's not us. We're going to find our identity and who we really are, and we're going to just inflict our whole offense onto these other teams. So we came together. We're all doing our individual film and coming together as groups too and watching everything. And looking back on these games, we see all these plays that might not have hit when they happened, but just looking at, we're one block off here and making this a huge game, possibly even a touchdown. So it was us really honing in on those fine details to make all the big pieces come together just by focusing on all those little bits so that we could have a game, once again, like we did against Cal.
Now, you talk about the focus and whatnot. I thought this is an interesting response. I don't know if people got to listen to the pregame show, but Nico Marchitelli, your quarterback, was on, and we talked about how fine the line is. Can you sort of walk us through and give an idea of just how close a tackle for loss is versus a touchdown? I don't think people at home understand just how fine that line, the margin for error is paper thin. Can you sort of offer from your perspective, whether it's just if your drop's too deep or not deep enough, or you don't take away the angle, how just your one mistake or somebody else's mistake, a receiver doesn't run a route deep enough, how quickly that can make a great play call become a total disaster?
Yeah, I know, especially from an O-lineman perspective, your first step off the snap, you take it just slightly too short or you step under yourself, and you can see whether it's a tackle on a DN, you don't get enough of them and they can track the back right in the backfield, and we have a massive gap that's right there with no one to tackle them. Or even if we're in our pass pro and the quarterback might take one step too deep, and it allows the ends to get a free rush on them or something like that, it's all right there, and it really is just one step away from those tackle for losses or sacks and the big explosive plays.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how close a great play is from an awful play, and vice versa. And again, and I think Nico said it best, whether it's me or somebody else, if 10 or 100% right, and one's only 75% right, the play's probably not going to work. I mean, it's a concert out there where everybody has got to be on the same page. Dylan, thanks for joining us, and certainly congratulations. I hope you guys can carry that momentum. 227 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. The offensive line, the player of the week last week. Best of luck against Fairmont State.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Scott will come back. We will talk some FSU, not that one, but Fairmont State University out of the Mountain East when we come back. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Welcome back to Scott Talk. Head coach Matt Scott getting ready for Falcons of Fairmont State University, Mountain East. Now, they do have a win over Seton Hill. They have a win over Bloomsburg.
Yep.
So I'm curious, when you were doing your Bloomsburg film work, did you have 2 notepads out?
Yeah.
You got one for Bloomsburg, you got one for Fairmont State, knowing they're down the road. Obviously, I mean, you don't have a lot of familiarity with these programs, so I guess this is not any different per se, but did you have to sort of 2 birds, 1 stone with some of the film? And did you have a Fairmont State and a Seton Hill notepad this week?
Yeah. I think probably at least for us on defense, the familiarity actually goes all the way back to Charleston in 2023 when we played those guys in the first round of the playoffs, because the head coach Luke Barker was the offensive coordinator down there at Charleston, and a lot of the things are very, very similar. Brandon Lemon, who's the offensive coordinator who I worked with at the University of New Haven, is calling the plays now. So there's some similarity there. There's some familiarity with some of the things that they're doing. Obviously, anytime you're always worried about who you're playing that week, you might write down a couple things, maybe personnel-wise or things along those lines. But you come back to some of the plays and go, yeah, I remember that play. I remember that play from watching it in prep. But you try to stay focused on that opponent for the week, for sure.
Now, I am curious, when you watch, and nothing to do with Fairmont State, but just I think maybe a question that might interest. When you do the film study, You're not necessarily watching games. You're watching the All-22. You're watching the clips. But on an average week, for, say, Fairmont State, how many different games do you watch? Do you revert back to some of last year's stuff? Like, how deep into the film study do you guys get?
Yeah, so we typically try to go with 4 games in our breakdown. We'll try to, sometimes it's going to be right in chronological order with their last 4. Sometimes you're playing a team that has a defense that's just completely different. You're not going to get the same looks. So you try to find teams that are a little bit closer to you schematically. If you go 4 games, you'll probably have about 240 to 250 clips on a team. And sometimes maybe you get in, maybe a team doesn't have a lot of red zone or goal line plays or something like that. So then you might have to go back if they played 6 or 7 games, and you go back and try to pull down some of those clips so that you make sure you have a good enough idea of who they are from an identity standpoint in some of those special situations, those critical situations. But we try to stay there. And then as we get through, our Monday and Tuesday prep, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday prep, Wednesday or Thursday, I might go back and look at some of the games that maybe we don't have in the breakdown and just kind of watch them and see, is there a trick play that they ran that we didn't see, a formation that they haven't shown the last 4 weeks that might be something that we need to be ready for. And then if we were watching tape, and Coach Crandall looked at us like, this looks a lot like Charleston. And so we didn't think that there was going to be a ton of crossover, but then we're like, oh yeah, that's a lot of Charleston stuff. So we made sure we added our New Haven tape versus them in 23 as well, just as there's some similarities in the fits and things like that for our guys to watch defensively.
So schematically, what are they?
So they're going to be 11 and 12 personnel. They have a tight end that is a big 6'5" guy that you could easily flex out, and then they'll line him in line and let him block. And then they have another tight end that they'll move him around. He'll be a fullback. He'll split out. They'll move him around. They have 2 very, very good tailbacks, a quarterback that can manage the game, an offensive line that has had a lot of snaps with them. So they're very good on offense. They're scoring a lot of points on offense.
Now, when you look, and I guess maybe from the other side of the coin, from Coach Barker's perspective, when he watches your film, how much have they grown? I feel that we've grown in leaps and bounds, especially defensively with some of the young linebackers really starting to figure it out. How different is that in your evaluation when you start looking at a guy and you realize, he's a redshirt freshman, and then maybe I should kind of throw away the first 3 weeks. He's probably closer to the player he is in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. I think that's always the struggle a little bit early on in the year when you're watching somebody is like most of the time you're still trying to figure out who you are identity-wise, and then you start to settle in that 3, 4, 5 week of the season. So I'm sure there's a lot of what they might want to see some of the things we did early on in the year, but I'm sure they're probably definitely settling in the middle part of the season and seeing how our guys are playing now and some of the schemes that we've developed so far.
Now, obviously, a big win last week. You did it without one of your biggest playmakers. Now, he's got a short line of film for being a play, but without Dante White, Carlos Morales had the pick that sealed the deal. Spectacular play off the tip. You're talking about a kid that's not playing a lot of football. He knew to slide. He knew to get down. He knew the game. But, can we sort of talk about some of these guys that are becoming, I don't want to say household names, a little premature yet, but now that, each week, the expectation raises. Like, I saw what you did last week. You got to be at least there this week. How about some of those young linebackers? Because, again, I can't overstate enough. Statistically speaking, the guys that are gone from that group the last 3 years combined, over 400 tackles. That's a lot to replace, and you seemingly have kind of figured a way how to do that.
Yeah, again, shout out to Coach Crandall, who's a great linebacker coach. He's developed a lot of all-conference kids, a lot of all-region, all-American type kids, so he does a really good job of getting those guys to figure it out. Jaden Branch is the guy that's probably the unsung hero. We saw that Dante's injury was going to be a little worse, and it was, he started out questionable to then doubtful. And we threw out Jaden, moved him to a position that he hadn't played at all, was in Coach Crandall's office all day, every day, all week last week in between classes and lifting and treatment and all those types of things to get himself ready to go. And while he was not dynamic and unbelievable by any stretch, he didn't do anything that hurt the defense. He played physical, which was the most important thing. Like, he's strong as heck. He's super physical. So it was really good to see him go out there and play, and I think he's found a home. Nick Panucci had probably his best game of the year. He missed one tackle, but he had his best game of the year. He doesn't get the player of the game only because I'm like, Jaden Branch legitimately didn't play this position until last week and went out there and played and did a great job for us. I just had to give him the player of the game.
I ask you this each and every week. Not that one yet. But you keep mentioning new names. In terms of, I don't want to say serviceable, but for lack of a better term, players that carry expectation. How many do you now have in the defense that you can run out there? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, I think we're at the point now where defensive line-wise, I'm struggling to find reps for some guys that probably could be out there and play for us. I think, again, it's a credit to our coaching staff. It's a credit to how we practice. We've just been doing this too long and no injuries are going to happen. You got to get guys ready to go. You got to do a great job coaching off film so that if there is a time where, a guy doesn't get a rep, he can still get that mental rep. So I definitely think we have between 18 to 22 guys that can go out there, and when we go out there and play, we expect them to play at a high level and perform and give us the ability to still win and do what we need to do.
All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite game but you. 3 reasons you win, 3 reasons you lose.
Well, I know we talked a lot about the defense, but obviously offensively, they're going to face a defense that has given up a lot of points, that is going to do a lot of things schematically that we've seen over the last couple of weeks and have been able to take advantage of. So just continue to start fast. They did a great job starting fast for us last week, getting the ball down the field, taking what the defense is giving them. So we've got to do a great job of taking advantage of the access that they're going to give us on the perimeter. And then when they start to tighten down and man up, winning our one-on-one battles there outside, we've got to continue to protect the quarterback. We did a great job of keeping the quarterback clean last week. The only play that, to be honest with you, comes to my mind is the touchdown that was then ruled incomplete. If we do a better job pass pro-wise there, Nico can step into that throw, and it's an easy completion and doesn't end up a little bit short there for Day to have to make a diving catch for it. Defensively, our biggest thing is when we decide to pressure, when we decide to go for it, we decide to man up, we have to win our one-on-one matchups. That's where we struggled last week. It's 3rd and 5, it's 3rd and 6. We're bringing it. It's man-to-man. They're wide splits. It's going to be a slant. Can we stop it? Can we clamp it down to give the time for the pressure to get there? So being able to affect the quarterback, hit the quarterback, is going to be paramount for us. Stopping the run is going to be huge. They have 2 very, very good tailbacks that bounce off of defenders. So our ability to tackle, get a lot of hats to the football and knock people back is going to be critically important for us. And then just doing a great job in the critical situations. Offense, continue to convert on 3rd down, continue to score in the red zone. Defensively, we got to get off the field on 3rd down, and we've got to do a great job of forcing field goals if they happen to get down in the red zone. If we do those things, take care of the ball and play our style of football, not try to do too much, just do what we're asked to do, we're going to be in great shape here this weekend.
Pre-game show, 11 o'clock, built by Hobbs Lumber on the Fighting Scots Radio Network, presented by ErieInjury.com. Kickoff at noon, Coach.
Hey, thank you for everybody that came out. It was a great homecoming. I appreciate you guys. Go Burrow.
All right, we will talk to you on the radio on Saturday. Fairmont State comes to Sox Harrison. If you can't listen, hope to see you at the ball game.